from Blackmur, MasterChef winner 2012. Today I'm going to be cooking you some delicious things with products used by or provided by cook.ie. And today's dish is we're going to be using a pasta, and we're going to do a different twist on it, and we're going to be making a butternut squash sauce. To start this dish, what you need to do is just get a pan of hot water on the go. Just keep it, simmering, because that's going to be for your pasta. And then you'll need another pot. Stick it on the heat. And what you're going to need to do is put in some butter. So this is one whole butternut squash, and I just peeled it and chopped it. So for about that much butternut squash, I'm going to be using about 100 grams of butter. So for this recipe, you need 2 shallots. So I'm going to be just roughly chopping these. Okay, so I'm going to add my shallots into that. You need 1 clove of garlic. This is a huge clove of garlic, so I don't want to use all that. And add it to the mixture as well. Okay, so at that point, I'm going to add my butternut squash as well. So what you want this to do is you want it to sweat down. So the butternut squash needs to get really nice and soft, and it needs to go to almost like a pulp consistency. But you're going to put that all in, put a lid on top of it, and just give it a stir around as well, and then we're just going to let it sweat. I'll chop up the rosemary. We do need to add rosemary to the butternut squash, but I'll add it at a later stage. So guys, the butternut squash has been cooking. You can see already that it's kind of reducing down. So you need to, I've added some of the chicken stock, and you need to add the chicken stock to help it, otherwise the butter will burn and it will burn. So we're just going to add the chicken stock to it. I'm going to fry off the pancetta and set that aside, and then I'm going to put on the pasta as well. Now this pasta is great for anything sauce based. It loves cheese sauces, but I kind of like to do things a bit differently, and that's why I decided on the butternut squash. So I'm just going to put my pancetta into the frying pan. We're just going to fry this off until it's really, really crispy, and then I'm going to put it on to the kitchen towel and just use that until I'm ready. And I'm just going to cut some of the rosemary up. I like to use like 1 sprig of rosemary, but you can, depends on yourself what you'd like to use. Now this is going into the mixer as well, so it doesn't have to be too fine. So I'm going to add this to the butternut squash now, because it's almost there. I just want the rosemary to infuse. So we also have cream to go in, but I'm not going to add the cream until the last stages of when we're actually mixing it through the blender. Just because if you add too much liquid to it at this time, it'll come up more like a soup. Right, we're going to add the pasta. So I'm going to add about half a bag to it, but it depends on how many you're serving. This butternut squash sauce will actually last. You can keep it in the fridge for a few days. You don't have to use it all, and it freezes really well as well. Okay, so we're going to leave that for about 12 to 15 minutes. The only thing left to do is we need to fry off some sage leaves. So we're going to do that at the last minute. So we're just going to finish off the pancetta, and then I'm going to add the sage leaves, and they're going to go really nice and crispy. And then we're going to kind of just break them over the pasta when we're serving it, and then a good sprinkle of Parmesan cheese on top. Okay, so the pancetta is nearly done. As you can see, it's lovely and crispy. So what we want to do is remove that from the pan. So the butternut squash is almost done. As you can see, it's got really soft. So what we need to do is we need to put it into a blender. But what we need to do is I'm going to blitz it first before I add any cream. So I'm just going to check the consistency, because you don't want to add the cream first and then you blitz it and then it's too watery. So I'm just going to give that a taste. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to add a tiny bit of cream. And what you're going to get is you're going to get a really, really smooth mixture. You can see it. It's really lovely and smooth and velvety. And that is going to be our sauce for our pasta. So what we need to do is that needs to go back in the pan because we obviously need to keep it warm. Okay guys, so the pasta's done. So I'm going to just drain that off. And I'm going to put in the butternut squash. So you don't have to use all of it, just put some in. We have our pancetta, we've got our sage leaves, and we're ready to plate. There you have it. Butternut squash pasta with crispy pancetta and crispy sage leaves.